Yeah, no, Ethan Klein is a lib through and through.
Did you cut out the part from the last episode, Dan?
No, not yet.
Oh wow, 22 casualties in Israel.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
I just saw that.
that's important to pull up.
Yeah.
We'll pull that up.
I didn't hear what. I'm trying to take care of the other thing now.
Okay, somebody got to be on the news updates.
Okay,
In the
what's
meantime, I'm going to thank our sponsor.
Okay, so when Hila Klein says 22 casualties in Israel, that could include people that were injured, because that's not the number that I have seen. This is the AP. Israel targeted Iran's defense ministry headquarters in Tehran and sites it alleged were associated with Iran's nuclear program. They slammed into buildings deep inside Israel. In Israel, at least 10 people were killed in Iranian strikes overnight and into Sunday, according to the Magen David Adom Rescue Service, bringing the country's total death toll to 14. So this was updated 9 hours ago, and the death toll was 14. So yes, there was not 22 people killed in Israel. But yeah, 224 people killed in Iran, 90% of the casualties. So 1,200 people hospitalized, and said over 90% of the casualties were civilians. Insane.
They're sending ballistic missiles and they're hitting.
Yeah, no mentions of casualties in Gaza. That might be a good time to talk about this. So there were over like 250 people dead just trying to get food. This is the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that has been killing Palestinians. I mean, helping the IDF kill Palestinians as they come to get food. And just today, at least 8 Palestinians were killed and dozens more wounded on Sunday in a shooting near Israel. And U.S. support on food distribution points in Gaza Strip, according to health witnesses. Witnesses blamed the Israeli military, which did not immediately comment. So, like, every single day, there was dozens of people getting injured, tens of people getting killed, simply getting food in an aid site that Israel says is a humanitarian way to get food, because Hamas isn't getting the food. And they're killing 8, 6, 12. Like, they're just killing people every single day, shooting them. 55,000 Palestinians dead. That's the official. But then there's more underneath the rubble. 90% of the population in Gaza has been displaced. About like 90% of the buildings in Gaza have been destroyed. Ethan hasn't talked about that. Oh, 10 Israelis get killed in bombs? Let's cry on air about that and do a breaking news segment. 55,000 Palestinians dead? We'll just say that it's 40,000, and we'll say, like, you know, that's bad, but October 7th was horrific.
Well, pull it up, guys.
And also, we'll say that the people that did the targeting on those Palestinians are heroes, as Hila Klein just did in her Instagram story.
The thing is that the IDF asked not to share footage because they don't want Iran to see where exactly things are hitting. So,
Bro, that's such cope. Holy dude, oh my god, guys, she literally just quoted that guy Joseph Haddad. Holy shit. Remember the side enthusiast Joseph Haddad? Wait, it's not this. Who was the guy? It's like, it was Joseph Haddad. She just quoted him. This is the guy who said that Al Jazeera journalists are spies and terrorists, not terrorist supporters, actual terrorists, because they are live streaming where the rockets are landing or where the missiles are landing in Tel Aviv. And Hila Klein just repeated what this enjoyer said on his Instagram story. I mean, I guess this was 2 hours ago, but it's the same type of propaganda. Oh, the IDF doesn't want people to talk about where the missiles landed because that's giving information to Iran. Well, the IDF. The IDF. They're going to do a complete information blackout. They're not going to let people understand what's happening in those areas because they're embarrassed that their buildings are getting destroyed by Iranian missiles. And Hila actually believes that somehow this is helping Iran. What the is she thinking? She thinks Iran is watching the H3 podcast to see where the missiles landed? Insane. Insane, dude.
There is
Pull it up, guys.
the thing.
Dude, this is literally just the Am Israel High appearing tough, not allowing journalists in to show that Israel has actually been impacted by Iranian missiles, has actually not suffered any repercussions by their actions. This is just another example of Israeli propaganda. Oh, nothing to see here. Israel isn't getting bombed. They're doing fine. Don't show Israel having any kind of negative impacts based off of their actions. Don't show that Iran is actually having an impact on Israel. That's just what this is. The idea that Iran is somehow getting a benefit from, like, a tactical advantage from watching the H3 podcast or watching Al Jazeera's live stream to see where their missiles land is the most insane cope you can think of. And you have to be either brainwashed or a complete baby-brained moron to believe that line.
That's a new thing.
So they're sending ballistic missiles and they're hitting.
Well, pull it up, guys.
The thing is that the IDF asked not to share footage because they don't want.
Like, okay, sorry, I interrupted this.
The thing is that the IDF asked not to share footage because they don't want Iran to see where exactly things are hitting. So there isn't a lot of like.
Well, I don't want to see the
footage
impact.
being
I just want to
shown.
see what's happening like on the skies.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll.
Dude, Ethan says to his podcast producer, pull up the footage of what's happening in Israel. In response to that, Hila Klein says that the IDF doesn't want that footage shared because that's going to give Iran a tactical advantage. If on our little podcast, we show missile strikes happening from like cell phone footage, just insane cope. I also just have to say, if you watch this and you are like, if you are covering the story, you are concerned obviously for civilians. If you claim you are concerned for civilians, like obviously if you are a complete enthusiast like that guy Yosef Haddad that we watched, like Hila Klein, you're not going to say you care about civilians. You're going to just and moan about Israeli civilians being targeted, but then you're going to be completely enthusiastic about the bombing and the thousands of people in Iran that have been killed and injured by Israeli airstrikes. So that's what you're going to do if you're a enthusiast. But if you just say that, like, I'm in favor of civilians on both sides, and your gut reaction is to not immediately condemn Israel's completely offensive bombing against Iran as destabilizing to regional and global peace, then you have lost the plot. Then you are a racist piece of like, if Ethan Klein's like, oh my god, Israel's getting bombed, that's horrible. Israel never should have bombed Iran because of course Iran's going to retaliate. Like, dude, listen to how Ethan Klein talks about what's happening in Gaza. He says Hamas did October 7th. The that Israel did to Hamas was inevitable in response to that. So even if you disagree with that conclusion that Ethan Klein draws, which I of course do, you can't avoid the fact that he understands there to be some kind of retaliatory aspect to these conflicts. You can't deny that Ethan understands if something is done to a country, that country of course will respond back to it, right? That's the main substance of his argument with Sam Cedar. That was the main substance with his argument with Hassan Piker. If his gut reaction is to not apply that same logic to this exact scenario, then he is like an Israeli supremacist, and of course we know that he's racist too, right? I just think that it's so interesting where you have these two different scenarios that mirror each other. In one aspect, Israel was attacked, and because Israel was attacked, Ethan justifies Israel's response to that attack. And in this situation, Israel attacked Iran. So by Ethan's very logic, of course Iran would fire missiles back into Israel. Of course Iran would retaliate against Israel. Right, Ethan? Don't you say that's inevitable? wouldn't you spend time on your show justifying it? And wouldn't you, if you're trying to advocate for the end of this violence, if you're trying to advocate for the lives of Israeli civilians, wouldn't you argue that Israel should stop bombing Iran and then Iran will stop bombing Israel? Because when he says, oh, we need to end the in Gaza, he doesn't call it he calls it a war. He says Hamas needs to give up the hostages, Hamas needs to surrender, and then Israel will stop. So he blames the people that are getting bombed, right? So by that very logic, wouldn't you say there should be a regime change in Israel and the Israeli citizens need to overthrow their government in order to not get bombed anymore? But we know Ethan Klein is racist. We know that he thinks Arabs are lesser than white people and Israelis. And of course, he's extremely biased as well. So I just think that it's so interesting where he blames Hamas for getting Palestinians. And what's he going to blame now? Oh, well, of course Israel needed to bomb Iran because Iran was going to make nukes. Iran was funding Hamas. It all comes back to October 7th, right?
Here, Ed is probably showing. Here's just a little NBC News update.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. There's Iranian agents watching right now, Ethan.
Escalation.
And that is the big concern, Kier, looming over
Dude,
all
Hila's grinding her teeth right now.
of this. Could this not ensnare not only the wider region, but the United States? Kier, quickly talk about the targets that Israel hit in Iran, its nuclear facilities. How damaging a blow was Israel able to pull off?
Well, we've seen the smoke over Natanz. We've seen.
Let me see what's happened with the fatalities in Israel. That is a
They
new...
fucking mute it as soon as they get to the analysis. Holy shit, Ethan. Jesus Christ.
So it was
It's a very-
casualties. So
Oh,
it
that
might
doesn't mean
not be-
deaths?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm still getting that that
Yeah, me too.
Right,
terminology.
casualties, I thought mean dead.
I learned that last week actually. So
Holy dude, they literally learned it last week. This guy learned it last week. Ethan and Hila learned it today that casualties mean injured. Oh my god, they're so dumb. Like, this is what I was confused about because I think when they were talking, they were talking about how like Hassan spread misinformation because he said that there were 500 casualties in that one hospital bombing that people or that Israel said the IDF or that Israel said Islamic Jihad did. And there was 500 casualties, but the media misreported it as 500 dead, but it was 500 casualties, which mean dead and injured. God damn, bro. These people are dumb. They've been covering this for how long? And they just learned that casualties means injured and dead?
it might not be. 22
Israel
dead.
claims Iran
I think-
fired fewer than 100 missiles, made a few hits. Iran fired fewer than 100 missiles, made a few hits. Some of those were interception debris. There could be more barrages later.
Holy read the actual article. Some of those hits were from interception debris. Some of those were intercepted. He doesn't even know what he's reading. He doesn't know what he's saying. Iran fired fewer than 100 missiles toward Israel on Friday night and made a few hits, the Israeli military claimed. Some of those hits were from interception debris, so basically rockets that exploded in the sky, and then the debris of those rockets landed in Israel. There could be more barrages later in the night.
Later tonight, urging civilians to stay in shelter. Where's it say about the casualties? I was just listening to news on the way here. I didn't hear anything like that.
Just look
Trying
it
to
up,
find
you
something.
I was
fucking
hearing that
moron.
I
nobody
didn't see
was
anything like that on the news feed. So.
There is a lot of just lots of random information right now flowing on Instagram. So some are not yet totally
Not corrupt.
She goes to Instagram to get her information? How do you even get information off of Instagram? She's going on to guys like Yosef Haddad's Instagram feed? Holy god damn, bro. This show is really just garbage. It's like a dumpster. It's a dumpster of information, man. You're getting the bottom of the barrel. It's information sources presented to you by stupid people. That's what this show is. Stupid people with a bias towards an ethno-state, too.
corroborated yet. Yes,
wow.
but there's gonna be soon.
Why are you looking at Instagram?
This is like from Israelis probably who are getting the news quick.
Yeah.
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 Just look up an
Pentagon
article.
saying, what are they watching?
Well, the Pentagon's not telling us anything, frankly. I mean, they haven't spoken. We've gotten no statement out of the Secretary of Defense. But officials who we are talking to say that, in fact, the United States did help Israel defend from this enormous barrage of projectiles, including estimates of more than 100 ballistic missiles that came from Iran fired towards Israel. Now, the U.S. used ground-based interceptors to help with this. That's the THAAD, the Patriot. Those are both ground-based missile defense interceptors.
So there's U.S. troops on the ground helping defend Israel from their illegal war crimes. God damn, bro.
That have the ability to take on various ranges, including even medium-range ballistic missiles. The U.S. has other things, though.
NBC News is an Iran terror unit showing where the Iranian strikes landed in Tel Aviv.
The region that could help.
That looks insane,
if in fact Iran continues to target.
You ever play that game Rocket Defense, like back in the day, where you just click and it shoots up rockets?
I love that fucking
Missile defense.
I
think is what it was called.
Yeah, it's literally that.
The old
Nearby
arcade
in the
game.
Red Sea, they've been used in the past to help defend Israel, but they also have aircraft, fighter jets, fighter squadrons
there it is.
that
It's called
have
Missile
also
Command.
in the past been used to try to defend Israel. You'll recall that during one of these back and forths between Israel and Iran last year, U.S. aircraft were in the air shooting down drones that were flying from Iran to Israel, taking them out, Kristen. But again, at this point,
pissed right now.
all that was used were these ground-based interceptors in this current salvo by the Iranians.
So I don't know if there was an update. Seems more like
There's 22 injured. I do see it on Israeli news. Yeah.
so.
22
No
injured.
no deaths, or we don't know anything.
There's a few in critical condition, meaning usually that means they could die.
This is definitely going to be.
Bro, I can't get over it. On the same day, we're like, now probably like almost 300 Palestinians have been killed trying to get food from the IDF, and they haven't mentioned it a single time. They're gonna cry that 2 people are in critical condition. Oh my god. Ethan's like, geez, critical condition. That sounds really bad. You're not gonna talk about the airstrikes that the IDF did, where they killed 224 people, 70 women and children killed, over 1,200 casualties. Holy dude. I mean, I know they're biased towards Israel, but make it a little believable that you care about both sides.
I mean, the Israelis said it's a war now, and this is going down. This is like the war that's been brewing for a long
90%
time.
90% civilian casualties.
Israelis in our chat right now. They're in their safe rooms.
I want to say that, whatever you think about Israel, Iran is bad or worse. They are the evil. They are the evil. They are the reason for all this bullshit. Like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, they're all attacking under the direction of Iran. They are all being.
So Ethan's like, oh yes, Israel is getting bombed because they did an illegal aggressive action on Iran. Also, the way Israel bombed Iran is way worse than what Iran's doing to Israel. But now let me sit here and justify what Israel did to Iran. Oh, love to see it. Instead of being like, I condemn civilian casualties on both sides, I just wish this violence would stop, you're going to sit there and be like, Iran's bad, and actually they shouldn't fire back at Israel because the attacks Israel did on Iran are completely justified. Just amazing. Beautiful stuff. All right, what do we got here from YouTube chatter Rory? Atonement for us. Interesting post.
These jihadists, Islamists, like mega, like these ultra, I don't even know how to say it, militant, super religious zealots, right? This is all coming from Iran under their direction. And what's interesting is that even who hates the Iranian government the most? Iranians.
The people.
Every Iranian you ask is like
Iranians.
Them. I can't wait for them to be gone.
Israelis and Iranians actually have like a really good connection. They
dude.
Always cheering for each other because, a lot of Jewish Persians are in Israel from Iran.
Yeah.
And so it's a very, there's a strong bond between the people. Some of my best friends are in Israel are Persian.
I see a lot of activists supporting.
Oh my god, dude! He was like some of my the Iranians that aren't in Iran anymore. Some of my best friends. Okay, yeah, obviously, it's not justified to bomb Iran and kill 90% civilians. That's not justified. I don't know why Ethan's insisting on trying to justify. It's not justified to target Hamas. Like, nothing that Israel's doing is justified. And the idea that he's like saying Iran is worse than the IDF is insane. Show me that Iran did. Like, can you show me the active genocide that Iran is doing right now, where they're starving out a population in order to expand their borders? Can you show me that? Can you show me the concentration camp like conditions that Iran has a minority group in? Can you show me that too? Like, god damn, bro, these people have no idea what Israel's doing. They're just so lost in the sauce of Israeli propaganda that they're just like in a different world. They're just in a different world.
Iran, or if supporting Israel in this conflict against Iran specifically, not supporting the horrific.
Here we go. Here's a commenter. Israel bombs Iranian soil, calls it defense. U.S. intercepts missiles to keep it one-sided. If that's independence, why are American tax dollars shielding a foreign military gamble? Honestly, like a commenter that called this shit out.
The Ayatollah.
Crimes. Yeah. What? Say what?
The Ayatollah.
No, the Ayatollah is evil. Everybody.
Also, notice how Hila talks about how the Iranian people and the Israeli people are similar because there's a lot of Persians in Israel, there's a lot of Iranians in Israel. Like we saw Avi Shlaim, who talked about how he was Iranian and his family was Iranian first and Jewish second. They identified as Iranian. But yeah, of course, if you live in Israel and you see Iran as the enemy of Israel, you're going to talk about how we're Persian. We're not Iranian. We're Persian. Like, stripping people of thousands of years of identifying with that culture, and now they're like, no, don't worry, I'm not Iranian, I'm Persian, because of how Israel considers Iran the enemy and how it considers Arabs the enemy. But guys, consider signing up for memberships. It helps me out, helps my editors out. Only $1 a month, so it's really not a big deal. Your name can be green. That will be cool. And thanks for watching, everyone.